Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive, this time into the fascinating world of human communication.
Ooh, communication.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It is a big one.
Yeah.
And, we're not just talking like, small talk or everyday chit-chat.
Right.
We're going deep.
Deep dive.
Into the structure of how we connect and communicate with each other.
The structure of magic.
That's right. Yeah. We are exploring The Structure of Magic, Volume 2 by John Grinder and Richard Bandler.
Classic.
It is a classic.
Yeah, published back in 1976.
Wow.
This book is still so relevant today. I mean, it's amazing.
Absolutely. And for coaches, especially, this knowledge, it can be a game changer.
It's like a secret weapon.
It is.
Yeah, for understanding your clients.
Speaking their language.
And helping them make real transformations in their lives.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the authors Grinder and Bandler, they talk about how we don't actually experience the world directly.
Okay.
But through these internal maps or representations.
Mm-hmm. It's like we have our own little virtual reality going on inside.
Exactly. And these maps are primarily created through our senses, visual, auditory, kinesthetic.
And the book focuses primarily on those three: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic.
Right.
But they do mention that there's also olfactory and gustatory.
Right. So smell and taste.
Yeah.
But yeah, the focus is definitely on those first three.
Yeah, because they're the most prominent in how we communicate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So these maps, they influence everything.
Yeah.
The words we use, our body language, even how we process information.
It's like everyone's walking around with their own personalized set of filters.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Now, the book provides some really fascinating clues for identifying a person's dominant representational system.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So think about this. Have you ever noticed how some people just naturally use more visual language?
Like they'll say things like, "I see what you mean," or "that looks good to me."
Exactly. Or they might talk about how clear or bright something is.
And then you have others who are all about the sounds.
Right. They're saying things like, "that sounds good," or "tell me more."
They're tuned into the tone and the rhythm of things.
And then there are those who are more kinesthetic.
They talk about how things feel.
Right. Like, "that feels right," or "I need to get a handle on this."
Yeah, they're all about the physical sensations.
Now, these words, the authors call them predicates.
Predicates, okay.
Yeah, they give us a window into how our clients are processing information.
So if someone's using a lot of visual predicates, it's a pretty good bet that they're processing the world primarily through images.
Exactly. And the same goes for auditory and kinesthetic predicates.
So it's like we have this secret language decoder ring.
I love that.
Yeah.
So by paying attention to these predicates, we can start to speak our client's language.
Okay, so we're not just understanding their words, we're understanding their whole experience.
Precisely.
That's deep.
It's about seeing the world through their eyes, hearing it through their ears, feeling it through their body. And that's where the power of matching predicates comes in.
Matching predicates, tell me more.
Okay, so imagine your client says something like, "I'm having trouble envisioning my future."
Okay, that's pretty visual.
Very visual.
Yeah.
Now, instead of saying something like, "how does that make you feel?"
Which might not resonate with them.
Right, because they're in a visual space.
Exactly. You would respond with something like, "I see what you mean. What would it look like if that future were crystal clear?"
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so you're using their language. You're mirroring their visual modality.
So it's like you're stepping into their world.
Exactly, and that creates a deeper connection.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's powerful.
Powerful stuff.
And it's not just for visual folks,
Right. You can do the same thing with auditory and kinesthetic language.
Exactly.
It's all about meeting them where they are.
Absolutely. Now, the book doesn't stop there.
There's more.
There's more.
I love it.
It goes even deeper with these things called metatactics.
Ooh, metatactics. Now we're talking. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So these metatactics, they go beyond simply matching predicates.
Okay.
They're about actively guiding the client's experience.
Guiding the experience.
Yeah, so the first metatactic is called switching predicates.
Switching predicates. Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
So imagine you have a client who's constantly using negative visual language.
Like they're saying, "I see myself failing," or "my future looks bleak."
Exactly.
Phew, that's heavy.
It is. And with switching predicates, you might gently introduce kinesthetic language to shift their perspective.
Okay, so instead of staying stuck in those negative visuals,
Yeah.
you're inviting them to feel their way into a new experience.
Exactly. So you might ask something like, "how would it feel to have a sense of unshakable confidence moving forward?"
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Or, What would it feel like to be firmly grounded in your own power?
So you're not just changing the words, you're changing the whole sensory experience.
Absolutely. And that can be incredibly powerful for helping clients access different resources and create new possibilities for themselves.
It's like you're helping them rewrite the script of their lives.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So that's switching predicates.
Okay, 1 down, 2 to go. What's the next meta tactic?
The next one is called mapping across.
Mapping across. Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's all about helping clients access powerful resources that are stored in one representational system and apply them to another.
Okay, so you're taking something from one sense and applying it to another.
Exactly.
Okay.
So for example, let's say you have a client who is super visually motivated.
They can see their goal clearly.
Oh yeah, they've got the vision board.
Yeah.
They've got it all mapped out.
But they just can't seem to get started.
Classic.
I know that one.
Right, so they've got the seeing part down.
Yeah.
But the doing part,
Not so much.
not so much.
Yeah.
So with mapping across, you could help them connect that visual excitement to a physical sensation of taking action.
Okay, I like this. How would you do that?
So you could say something like, imagine yourself achieving that goal. How exciting does that picture look? Now bring that feeling of excitement into your body. Feel it in your chest, in your arms, in your legs. That's the energy of taking action.
Wow, so you're literally helping them transfer the energy from the visual realm to the kinesthetic realm?
Exactly. You're bridging the gap between thinking and doing.
That's brilliant.
And that can be a game changer for clients who struggle with procrastination or taking action.
It's like you're giving them a jump start.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so we've got matching predicates, we've got switching predicates, and we've got mapping across.
You got it.
What's the third meta tactic?
The third one is called adding representational systems.
Adding representational system. Okay, so we're adding more senses into the mix.
Exactly. It's about enriching the client's experience by engaging multiple senses.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Thing too.
Yeah.
So for example, imagine you have a client who's working on building confidence.
Okay, classic coaching goal.
Right. And they might have a visual image of themselves, standing tall and proud.
They can see it in their mind's eye.
Exactly. But it's still a bit flat or two-dimensional.
It's not fully embodied yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with adding representational systems, you would guide them to not only see themselves standing tall,
Okay.
but also feel the ground beneath their feet, hear the sound of their confident voice, and even feel a sense of warmth spreading through their chest.
Wow, so you're creating a much richer, more multisensory experience.
Exactly.
It's like you're turning up the volume on their confidence.
Absolutely.
I love that. So we're not just working with one sense, we're bringing in the whole orchestra.
Exactly.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Mine too.
This is amazing stuff.
It is. And we're just scratching the surface.
There's more.
There's so much more to explore.
I can't wait.
Me neither.
And there's one more meta tactic.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's called adding representational systems.
Adding representational systems.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So this one is all about enriching a client's experience by engaging multiple senses.
So instead of just focusing on one sense, like visual or auditory.
Right, you bring in the whole sensory orchestra.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So give me an example. How would this play out in a coaching session?
Okay, let's say you have a client who's working on building confidence.
Okay.
And they have this visual image of themselves, standing tall and proud.
Okay.
But it's still a bit flat, kind of two-dimensional.
Yeah, I can see how just having the visual might not be enough to create a truly embodied sense of confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with adding representational systems, you would guide them to not only see themselves standing tall,
Okay.
but also feel the ground beneath their feet, hear the sound of their own confident voice, and even feel a sense of warmth spreading through their chest.
Wow, so you're creating a much richer, more multisensory experience.
Exactly.
It's like you're painting a more vivid picture for their mind and body to step into.
Precisely. And that can be incredibly powerful for shifting their state and creating lasting change.
Okay, my coaching toolbox is getting a serious upgrade with all of these meta tactics.
I know, right?
This is amazing stuff. But before we move on, I want to talk about something that really struck me in the book.
Okay, what's that?
The concept of incongruity.
Incongruity. Yeah, that's a fascinating one.
It is.
Yeah, it's about those moments when a client's words don't match their body language or their tone of voice.
Yes, exactly.
Huh.
Like when a client says they're excited about a new project, but their shoulders are slumped and their voice is flat.
Right, it's like their body is telling a different story.
Totally. And as coaches, those incongruities are like gold mines of information.
They're like little red flags.
They are.
Yeah, signaling that there's something deeper going on.
So how can we as coaches effectively work with incongruity?
Well, first and foremost, it's about being present and observant. Noticing those subtle mismatches between words, body language, and tone. And then instead of trying to analyze or interpret them, you simply reflect back what you're observing.
So going back to our example, I might say to the client, I hear you saying you're excited about this project, but I'm also noticing that your energy feels a bit low. What's going on there?
Exactly. By simply reflecting back the incongruity, you're creating space for the client to become aware of it themselves.
It's like holding up a mirror for them to see themselves more fully.
Precisely. And often, that awareness alone can be a catalyst for change.
And from there, we can use our coaching skills to help them explore what's behind that incongruity.
Right. It might be a limiting belief, a past experience, or a fear of failure.
And by bringing those hidden dynamics to light, we can help clients overcome those blocks and move forward with greater confidence and clarity.
Absolutely. Remember, incongruity isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's a natural part of being human.
Okay, that's a really helpful reframe.
Yeah.
Now, the structure of magic also delves into these things called fuzzy functions.
Fuzzy functions. Those are fun.
Okay, so what are those all about?
Well, fuzzy functions are like these mental shortcuts our brains use to make sense of the world.
Okay.
But they can sometimes lead to distorted perceptions or limiting beliefs.
Okay, so they're kind of like those unconscious biases that can trip us up.
Exactly. And Grinder and Bandler, they focus on two main types.
Okay.
Cause effect and mind reading.
Cause effect, that sounds like something I might hear from my clients all the time.
Oh, it's incredibly common.
Yeah.
Cause effect is basically about attributing our feelings or experiences to external factors.
So, for example, a client might say, my boss makes me feel stressed, or my partner makes me feel insecure.
Exactly. They're giving away their power to someone or something outside of themselves.
Right. It's like they're saying, I'm not responsible for how I feel. You are.
Precisely. And as coaches, we can help clients recognize these cause-effect patterns and reclaim their agency.
Okay, so how do we do that?
One powerful technique is to help them reframe their language. So instead of saying, my boss makes me feel stressed, we might encourage them to say, when my boss does X, I choose to feel stressed.
So it's about shifting the focus from being a victim of external circumstances to recognizing their own role in creating their experience.
Exactly. It's about empowering them to see that they have a choice in how they respond, even in challenging situations.
That's such an important distinction.
It is.
Okay, so we've got cause-effect. What about mind reading? What is that all about?
Mind reading is when we assume we know what other people are thinking or feeling without any real evidence.
Ah, yes, I've definitely been guilty of that myself.
We all have. It's a human tendency.
Right.
But in coaching, it can be a real obstacle to effective communication and understanding.
Okay, can you give me an example of how mind reading might show up in a coaching session?
Sure. Imagine a client who says, my team doesn't respect me.
Okay.
And you might ask, how do you know that? And they might respond with, well, they never ask for my opinion, or they don't include me in their after-work gatherings.
So they're making assumptions based on their interpretation of their team's behavior.
Exactly. And those interpretations might be completely off base.
Right.
Maybe their team is simply unaware of how the client feels or is operating from a different set of assumptions.
So how do we help clients challenge their mind-reading habits?
It starts with awareness. Help them notice when they're jumping to conclusions about other people's thoughts or feelings.
Okay.
And then encourage them to check their assumptions.
We can ask powerful questions like, what evidence do you have to support that belief? Or is there another way you could interpret that situation?
Exactly. And sometimes the best way to clear up mind reading is to simply encourage direct communication.
So instead of assuming they know what their team is thinking, we might encourage them to have an open and honest conversation to get clarity.
Precisely. It's about shifting from a place of assumptions to a place of curiosity and open communication.
This whole conversation about fuzzy functions is so eye-opening.
It is, isn't it?
It's like we all have these mental gremlins running around in our heads, distorting our perceptions and creating unnecessary drama.
It's true. But the good news is that once we become aware of these fuzzy functions, we can start to challenge them and create more empowering and accurate interpretations of our experiences.
And that's where coaching can be so transformative.
Absolutely.
It's about helping clients see those mental gremlins, call them out, and reclaim their power.
I love that analogy. It's about helping them become the authors of their own stories rather than characters in someone else's narrative.
Okay, I'm ready to tackle those gremlins.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to know about fuzzy functions before we move on?
I think we've covered the main points about fuzzy functions for now.
Okay, great. This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It really has the structure of magic. It's just full of these incredible insights.
It is. It's really opened my eyes to the power of language.
Yeah.
And how we can use it to create real change in our clients' lives.
It's like we've been given a secret decoder ring for understanding human behavior.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I love how practical the concepts are. You know,
Right.
we've talked about matching predicates, switching predicates, mapping across, adding representational systems.
All those meta tactics.
Oh, yeah. It's like a whole new toolkit for coaches.
It is. And I think the real magic comes from understanding that each client has their own unique map of the world.
Right.
You know, we're not here to impose our map on them.
Exactly.
We're here to help them explore their own map and identify any areas where it might be limiting them.
And then help them create new possibilities.
Exactly.
And that's where recognizing and addressing incongruity comes in.
Ah, yes. Incongruity.
It's about being present and observant, noticing those mismatches between words, body language, and tone.
Right. And then gently reflecting those back to the client.
Sometimes that simple act of reflection can be so powerful.
It can be a real game changer.
It is. It's like holding up a mirror for them to see themselves more fully.
And from there, we can help them explore the underlying beliefs or fears or internal conflicts that might be driving that incongruity.
Right. It's about helping them bridge the gap between their conscious intentions and their unconscious behaviors.
So they can live with more authenticity and alignment and choice.
And let's not forget about those sneaky fuzzy functions.
Oh, those fuzzy functions.
Pause effect and mind reading, they can create so much unnecessary drama for our clients.
It's like they're living in this distorted reality.
Right.
Attributing their feelings to external factors or making assumptions about what other people are thinking.
But the good news is that once they become aware of these patterns, they can start to challenge them.
And reclaim their power.
Exactly. It's about shifting from my boss makes me feel stressed to when my boss does X, I choose to feel stressed.
It's a subtle shift, but it makes all the difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's about moving from a place of assumptions to a place of open, honest communication.
That's what it's all about.
This whole conversation has been so insightful.
It has been a good one.
It has, and I'm really excited to start integrating these concepts into my coaching practice.
Me too. I think our clients are going to be blown away by the results.
I think so too. Well, this has been another amazing deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the structure of magic.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep using your coaching superpowers to make a difference in the world.
That's what it's all about.